What is up, and welcome to SGPN's The Daily Dog. I'm your host, Brent Hess. I'm here with my favorite Underdog fantasy pick'em plays for the NFL season. These are all NFL season player picks on the Underdog fantasy app. You would make a couple selections. You got to put 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 together. It's kind of like a parlay in sports betting, but it's more of a fantasy type app. If you're new to Underdog, use that promo code DailyDog, one word, for a 100% deposit match bonus up to $1,000 right now. So that means whatever money you put in, up to $1,000, they will match it in free play. I recommend using that free play on these season-long picks because that way you don't have money coming out of your bank account that's just sitting on the app untouchable for 5-6 months while the NFL season is going underway. You can use that free play to do this, and that's kind of my way of avoiding that sticker shock of putting a bunch of money locked away for a future that's going to take many months to pay out. All right, let's get right into the picks. The first one is going to feel like a homer pick, but it's really just a value pick. It's me reading between the tea leaves, me looking at the media landscape, and me realizing that Rusell Wilson is a bargain to have higher than 17.5 passing touchdowns this season for the Steelers. He has had 20-plus passing touchdowns in every season of his career outside of his first year in Denver, where I believe he had 16. That whole season was terrible. They had coach firings. The whole thing was disjointed. Russell wasn't good. The team wasn't good. His pass catching options weren't good. So there was a lot there that you can look at as to why he had a down year. Last year, again, everyone thought the Broncos were terrible last year, but Russ had 26 passing touchdowns. He held up his part. I know everyone wants to make Justin Fields into a thing. I don't really pay much attention to the preseason. I'll admit it. I'm not the guy who's like, oh my God, look at this practice footage of this guy being awesome. I can tell you that Russell Wilson was brought in to be the starter. He wasn't going to go to Pittsburgh and lose his job to a guy who can't really complete the ball with regularity on gimme passing routes like Justin Fields. I know that it gets clicks, it gets views, everything else when you make the case that hey, Justin Fields is going to be a dual threat and he's going to be a red zone threat and he's going to be playing a lot on this offense. I really don't see that happening. This is going to be Russell Wilson's team to lead unless something terrible happens, whether it's injury or whether he has a 4-pick game in back-to-back games. Then yeah, sure, he get benched. I don't see that happening. Arthur Smith, everyone wants to talk about him as a terrible a terrible coach. He did do terribly in Atlanta. They were 7-10 3 years in a row. As an offensive coordinator, though, his teams were really competitive offensively. Obviously, they had dominant running games with Derrick Henry when he was the Titans offensive coordinator, but also Ryan Tannehill threw for 33 touchdowns in 2020. In 2019, Tannehill threw for 22 and Mariota threw for 7. Those numbers, I think, are repeatable with this Steelers team. 33. If Russell Wilson gets 33, he's doubling up basically what this number is of 17.5. And again, this is a scorcher higher than 17.5. Just baseline Russell Wilson should be getting to 20-plus passing touchdowns this season, as long as he doesn't get hurt, as long as he doesn't have a couple catastrophic games back-to-back, which, again, he's a veteran. And what he did well last year, the highlight for his season is that he protected the ball pretty dang well. I don't think that he's going to be a turnover machine for the Steelers team. I know the Steelers lost a center, but the rest of their offensive line is turning into their own. We can all say, oh, but the preseason they did this, preseason they did that. The point of preseason games is not to enact your game plan and to win, like you would in the regular season. I think that this number is laughably low. It is all built on a media narrative and is not built on actual probabilities for Russell Wilson to have 18 or more passing touchdowns. So my favorite, I don't know if it's my favorite overall, but it's in the clubhouse for the favorite underdog picks for season-long fantasy this year is Russell Wilson higher than 17.5 passing touchdowns for the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, got one more here. I'm going to go to, I've got 3 more actually, but the next one is going to be Anthony Richardson. This one I feel kind of dirty giving out. Anthony Richardson higher than 7.5 rushing TDs. When they're in the red zone, is Shane Steichen going to be wanting Anthony Richardson to try to fit the ball into tight windows for, the unexplosive receiving core that they have there, with their 15 deep tight ends and their Micah Pittman, who kind of moves like a tight end, no offense. No, Anthony Richardson needs to be a running threat in the red zone. In 4 games, he had 4 rushing touchdowns last year. Do I think that he's going to continue the pace of a rushing touchdown per game started? No, that's definitely not going to happen. But that said, we can look at Shane Steichen as the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles back in the day. In 2021, Jalen Hurts had 10 rushing TDs. In 2022, he had 13 rushing TDs. Anthony Richardson, literally, if he gets to 10 games, I have a feeling that he's going to be pushing on this 7.5 touchdown number right here. You don't have to overthink it. I know that, hopefully Anthony Richardson will realize he needs to slide more, when he's not diving into the end zone, when he's in the open field, when he's between the 20s, he needs to protect himself more. He needs to protect himself more in the pocket. But taking the ball out of his hands, even when you do have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, doesn't make sense. The RPO game with Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson can be extremely viable for this Colts team. And I think that they're going to allow Richardson to use his size, speed, and athleticism to get the ball across the line often this year. He just needs to stay healthy. If he stays healthy for 2/3, 3/4 of this season, he's going to have 8+ rushing touchdowns. I just believe that that's going to be in the DNA of this offense. This is what they're going to want to do. So higher than 7.5. You just got to keep your fingers crossed every time he tucks the ball and hope that he doesn't get injured for any serious amount of time, because that is the only thing stopping this one from going over. Yes, that's a huge risk. He's going to be touching the ball every play on offense, so he's going to theoretically have a shot of getting injured. That said, he hopefully learned how to take a hit a little bit better last season, because that was really frustrating when he was becoming, that high floor fantasy QB option with his running game, and then all of a sudden got sidelined for the rest of the season, 4 games into his pro career. All right, next we're going to another guy who, the next 2 are going to be wide receivers. And before we get into wide receivers, let's just quickly talk about our sponsor, Underdog. So Underdog is the sponsor of this show, Underdog Fantasy. You can do daily fantasy on there, so you can do drafts in like Major League Baseball if you don't want to wait for football to get underway. And you can play against other players with real cash for cash prizes. You can do best ball, season-long NFL fantasy, which is the best way to play fantasy. Honestly, I don't even have any home leagues in NFL anymore. It's just, why deal with the stupidness of the waiver wire and what the waiver order is and all these subjective rules? Why worry about trying to set your lineup when you can literally just draft your team, and your best 2 running backs, your best 3 wide receivers, your best quarterback, your best tight end, and your best flex are all just going to automatically be in your lineup each week. Do your work in the offseason, draft well, and get your team the way you want it, and then you don't even have to think about it the rest of the year. You just check into the app on Sundays and see how you're doing. Take out all that stress. Take out all that randomness of like, oh my God, my 3rd string or my 4th string wide receiver all of a sudden had a 40-point game. In Underdog Best Ball, your best players are who count for you. You don't have to roll the dice and set your lineup each week. Again, use the promo code DailyDog, DAILYDOG, UnderdogFantasy.com, or on the app. And again, that's one word, no space in DailyDog, to get a $1,000 deposit match bonus depending on how much you put into the app. Use that money to play some free rolls in some best ball leagues. If you never played best ball before, get into a small contest. They got $3 contests, $5 contests, all the way up to thousands of dollars of contests. So there is a contest for you no matter what your bankroll is. All right, now let's talk about some season-long wide receiver numbers. This one is ridiculous to me. Terry McLaurin, 925.5 receiving yards. He's going to have the best QB play of his career, most likely this season, with Jaden Daniels taking over. The Heisman winner can throw the ball really well. I don't think the Commanders are going to be that good this year. I think they're going to be behind a lot, which means that they're going to have to pass a lot. And I think that Jaden Daniels is the type of quarterback that is going to excel getting the ball to his best pass catcher in these situations where, it's garbage time, garbage yards. Terry McLaurin has had higher than 925.5 yards every season of his career so far, outside of his rookie season, where he only played 14 games. Again, health permitting, he's going to fly over 925.5. He's a 1,000-yard receiver every season that he is healthy, and he's going to have better QB play than he has ever had in his career. I guess you could maybe say, I don't know if I'd put him better than Alex Smith, but even in 2019, Alex Smith wasn't healthy the whole year. So Terry McLaurin is definitely going to get an upgrade at quarterback. They just got rid of another guy who's going to steal some targets, and Jahan Dotson traded to division rival the Eagles. So that wide receiver core is basically a funnel towards Terry McLaurin. I know that, and Cliff Kingsbury is, a little bit of an interesting guy. He does, right wide receiver, left wide receiver, and stuff like that. But trust me, the offensive passing game is going to be built around Terry McLaurin. Jaden Daniels is going to get him the ball early and often. 925.5 might look like a laughable number by the time we're at week 10 of this NFL season. I'm just saying that he could be pushing that, but we could be at week 12 and he could be over this very easily. So Terry McLaurin higher than 925.5 receiving yards. Last one. We're taking an under here. We're taking Malik Nabers lower than 940.5 receiving yards. Don't tell Ryan Kramer from the Sports Gambling Podcast, the flagship show on this network, that I'm taking this, but just ask yourself this question. Is Daniel Jones still the quarterback for the Giants? Yes. Has Daniel Jones ever had a wide receiver that has at 800 receiving yards? No. Malik Nabers is a rookie. He's playing with Daniel Jones. Giants aren't going to be that good, most likely, once again. And rookie wide receivers, there are rookie wide receivers that have had, not 1,000-yard seasons, big seasons. You know what those wide receivers have in common about 95% of the time is they have a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. That's not Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones does his little, tuck it and run thing despite not being fast. Daniel Jones misses wide open guys. Daniel Jones is not going to funnel the ball to anybody. I think that you could have prime Randy Moss on this team and he might struggle to get 1,000 yards if Daniel Jones is the one throwing him the quarterback or throwing him the ball from the quarterback position. 940.5 is just way too high, and it's an outlier number. So on FanDuel, for example, his number's at 900.5. Why does Underdog have 40 extra yards given to Malik Nabers in this Giants team? It doesn't make any sense. I'm taking lower and then also with these lowers, a little ankle sprain here, a pulled hamstring there can really get the season off track for hitting these overs. I'm never going to be rooting for anyone to get hurt. You just have to realize that that's realistic. And again, there's usually a rookie wall at some point for rookie receivers. Maybe they start slow, maybe they finish the season slow, but wide receivers are not usually that plug and play when it comes to having, around 900,000-yard receiving seasons, and 940.5 is way too much when Daniel Jones is your quarterback. All right, that is my season-long NFL Pick'em best picks for NFL individual season stats for individual players. I've got Rusell Wilson higher than 17.5 passing touchdowns. I've got Anthony Richardson higher than 7.5 rushing touchdowns. I've got Terry McLaurin higher than 925.5 receiving yards, and Malik Nabers lower than 940.5 receiving yards. Mix and match these plays, put them all together, whatever you want. Add them to some players from your favorite team, add them to some of your favorite plays. But I really like all of these, and we will check in with these on the daily show, on the Daily Dog, and we'll see how these numbers move, because I have a feeling we're still going to get some value on these like we did with the college football Pick'em slip. So, all right, that's all I've got. Let's make some money.